Phoenix here, recapping a crazy week of football that we have had. It all began on Wednesday when the Phoenix bounced back. Robin Hood bounced back in style with a 2-1 accurate, correct spoiler in the Portugal versus Germany game. And as always, that's what separates Robin Hood from the rest, because most of you in my position would have vanished for at least a month or 2 or 3. But no, Robin Hood was there 4 days later after seeing his team suffer the worst defeat in Champions League finals history. And there he was, spoiling a football game 4 days later. A little bit of respect. No, a little bit of respect. That is all. That is all. Because you sit there and you make fun and you laugh and you mock and you vindicate every single time that you are nothing but losers. But Robin Hood comes back in style for the love of the sport. Most certainly not because of most of you and what you have said and how you have acted over the past week. I was very confident in Portugal beating Germany. It wasn't even like I spent a lot of time like usual when I'm analyzing. I had a quick look, analyzed the two lineups, spent some time, of course, factoring everything as always, put everything in the algorithm, spat out 2-1 Portugal, and we feasted. However, in the Spain-France game, what a game, by the way, Robin Hood went with France to win. Now, I will certainly be France Portugal final. In my defense, I'm not one to look at stats and claim stats or everything, but in my defense, I thought France were the better team. I looked again at the two lineups and I'm like, there is no way Spain will be able to contain that France attack. What I underestimated was, of course, France's defense containing Spain's attack. The Milan frauds, as always, at the center of it. I told Chelsea fans, be careful, stay the hell away from Mike Maignan. Theo Hernandez doesn't even know what planet he's on. Clement Lenglet, I mean, come on, in 2025. But this one player, even though he wasn't necessarily directly at fault for the goals, without Virgil van Dijk holding his hands, we're going to ask some questions, because you got to believe in that defense. You cannot have a defense like that. It's unacceptable. He was the supposed leader yesterday, and he plays like that. And it cost me and everybody else who backed France. But it wasn't just him, the main culprit. No, because this fossil of a manager, I mean, I don't understand. So make this make sense to me. Dembele could win a Ballon d'Or. Keyword could. We'll get into that. Having played down the middle the entire season, Michael Olise was the best Bundesliga player of the season playing as a right winger. What does this genius do? He puts Dembele on the right, he puts Olise down the middle, Olise completely ineffective, and then he's got a superstar who is comfortable down the middle, coming on minute 63 when they're down 4-1 already. He cannot enter in the World Cup with Deschamps. They have to sack him and bring Zidane. Otherwise, there's going to be another generation ruined for France. But of course, all the plaudits to Spain. You know, I tell you this. What I like with this kid is this. He says important thing is to talk on the field. But he talked before the game. Right? Everybody always says, oh, but it's, they claim it's Nations League and Nations that, and oh, it's a friendly, glorified friendly, blah, 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 blah. Lamine Yamal talked before the game, basically telling Dembele, Doué, Mbappe, etc. I'll see you guys on Thursday. I believe I'm the best in the world, and I will show you I'm the best in the world. He talked before. It's not like after the game, all of a sudden, he's going to try and spin it and be like, oh, Nations League was always so important, blah, blah. He talked before the game, and he's shown it on the pitch. I am disgusted as an Inter fan that we gave this guy the plaudits and this, and they compared him. They compared him to Lamine Yamal. UEFA gave him the best young player of the season in the Champions League. On behalf of Inter Football Club, I apologize to all Lamine Yamal fans out there. It's absolutely sickening. But of course, Yamal had to show him. You know what I found absolutely fascinating? It wasn't just with the ball. He dispossessed Desiree Doué about 3 times. Where you going? And by the way, Doué is 3 years older than Lamine Yamal. Doué this, Doué that. The Neymar region, better than Yamal. Please, man. Watch with your eyes. Watch with your eyes. So wasteful. And I said in the Champions League final as well, he wasn't even that good. He wasn't even that good. Yeah, he could dribble. He shoots every time. Some of the worst shots I've seen. Straight at the goalkeeper. And so poor. So poor. There's no conversation. There wasn't never any conversation. Forget about Desiree Doué. Put him to the side. Because we're looking at Yamal versus Dembele. How do you do this? Who do you award the Ballon d'Or to? Because everybody knows, even Dembele's mother knows Lamine Yamal is the best in the world. But does that mean that he should win the Ballon d'Or? The Ballon d'Or, you may think, oh, you have to give it to the best in the world. The two are not mutually exclusive. We have had plenty of years in the past where where the best in the world does not necessarily win the Ballon d'Or. What Yamal done yesterday, whether people like it or not, it closes the gap. But who has had the better season? I still have Dembele ahead of Yamal. But what's going against Yamal? Even if Spain beat Portugal, right? Ousmane Dembele has the Club World Cup. And with how much prize money they've put into the Club World Cup, how big they want to make the Club World Cup, it's going to have a much bigger effect than people think. And of course, Barcelona are not playing. That's what Yamal has, I think, going against him the most, because he's still behind, but Dembele has a chance to solidify the Ballon d'Or. But yesterday showing us, and you shouldn't have needed yesterday to see, there are galaxies between Yamal and Dembele. Quite frankly, there are galaxies between Yamal and anybody else, to be quite frank with you. And how on earth people aren't putting Pedri at least in the top 3 Ballon d'Or is absolutely crazy to me. It's Dembele, Yamal, Pedri. That's the top 3. It's undisputed. No questions can be asked. Now, of course, we have the Nations League final between Portugal and Spain. Between Lamine Yamal and Cristiano Ronaldo. They will meet for the very first time. I'll spoil the game for you guys because it's relatively easy. Analysis has been done. Spain will win by 2-0. It will be a lot more of a cagey game. But the sad reality is, for Ronaldo fans, for Portugal fans, Spain have always owned Portugal. They've always little broed Portugal. I don't see that changing. I like Portugal's midfield. I loved it against Germany, but they're going to go up against a well-oiled machine at the moment. And I don't see how Portugal will be able to stop Spain's wingers. It'll be a much more cagey game than the one we seen yesterday. Spain will emerge victorious. They will win the Nations League again. Sorry to Ronaldo and Portugal fans. Then, one quick word moving on about the special player, because I couldn't believe what I was seeing yesterday. If he started, I think France win. If he started, my prediction would have come true. I don't know what foot he is. He was dribbling at times with his right, shooting with his left, crossing with his left. I was mesmerized. I must be missing something, because if he's going to cost 35 million and there's other players going for 130, 120, I think we've lost sight of what the sport actually means and what the hardest thing is to do in the sport. The hardest thing to do in football is what Shirky was doing yesterday. To score a volley like that, the technique required, to set up Colomwani in the way he did for that, to set up Malo Gusto with that pass that he gave. Those are the hardest things to do in football. I'm seeing defensive midfielders going for 100 million plus. I don't understand what's going on. One thing is for certain. Manchester City have got an absolute bona fide superstar. And whether the rumors are true that his work rate stinks and his attitude stinks, for 35 million, that's a gamble you take all day long. Mesmerized. I can't, of course, leave you guys without talking about what's happening at my club. The traitor, the snake in the grass, left Inter. I'm not surprised. I wanted him out. It's the correct decision. What I find absolutely sickening, of course, is how it happened. The decision, he must have taken this decision a month or two ago, and it explains the performance that Inter had last week. That was a man right there who made up his mind months ago. How can you put yourself above a club who was about to potentially win a treble and you couldn't even wait? You had to let it affect you and in turn affect the entire club. What happened on Saturday, that is not normal. That is completely inexcusable. And like I told you guys, on Saturday, we now have the actual reason why. For me, and the fact that I'm seeing Inter fans put this man as a club legend, please, absolute disgrace of a human being. You can, with Inter, you can do whatever you want, right? However, the human side of you always has to matter more than what you do on the pitch. You gotta be a fantastic human being. And he is a snake in the grass. Get the hell out of my club and never, ever come back. But of course, it seems like the club wasn't expecting that. The club was caught off guard. Who to replace Inzaghi? It's not like there's a lot of options available. Fabregas was the number one choice. He was my number one choice. We couldn't get the job done because, and listen, respect to him and respect to Como. This is a club who means serious business. This is a club who I anticipate will be fighting for league titles within the next 3 to 5 years, minimum. If not earlier. I say maximum, sorry, if not earlier. So full respect to them, no problem. But then it becomes obvious who you have to make. We're going up against Conte, we're going up against Allegri, we're going up against Gasperini, Sarri, you name it. There's only one name. There's only one name. It should have been Jose Mourinho back to Inter. But nope. Christian Kivu. Next time, contact me. Yeah, I've got 6 jobs. Contact me. I'll drop one of them and I go coach Inter. What has Christian Kivu done that Kyoto 411 hasn't? How crazy would that have been? Bad news. It wasn't Inter. It was the delivery to replace this rotten chair, this cursed chair that has cost me 2 Champions League finals. I'll never understand this. Inter will return back to the banter era. We'll be fighting for top 4. And the sad reality is people will be praising him even more and thinking his legacy is enhancing even more. Absolute farce what the management have done. Farce.